On the road, was it hard to stay in shape and be on the road at the same time? And how did you maintain your look?
Well, was it hard to stay in shape? No, because that was my. Was it hard to be that shape?
Well, you kind of
yes.
You kind of changed your look. Kind of, you went from bodybuilder look to being kind of more fit at one point. So, I mean, how did you?
Yeah, that we butted heads on my look a lot because, as we know, I became a certain way, looked a certain way in my actions and physically to be able to work, to be able to be. It wouldn't have happened.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions too. Is like you went from pretty much non-speaking, and they pretty much gave you a role where you had more personality and stuff like that.
Sure, I mean an intimidation factor, and that had to be that way. Otherwise, it would never have happened. But inside, then there's that line between reality and not what is real. What am I saying? What's real and what's not real. Because of the way that I looked and the persona that I played on TV, I really did look like that in real life. I couldn't go home and take the muscles off, and that's not really the person that I was inside or wanted to be. But I knew that I had to look like that, be that way physically to perform my job, and look like that for intimidation factor to make it work. But and I worked. I mean, I had my diet. I read everything I could. I had every supplement and just carried around in coolers. I would set my alarm at 3 a.m. to eat a yogurt or certain grams of protein or whatever. I knew I would give the guys diets and work them out, and they would go, forget it. I don't want to do that. You do it, And I would, and I did. But then there became a certain time where I just wasn't comfortable, and so I started doing it on my own, and I would get it's a little bit too, we need you to dress more like this, or, don't put your hair back, or, cut your hair, or something, and I started not doing that. I just went the opposite direction, and it took, and the office was not happy about that. They didn't want that, and I will. In the meantime, personally, I think I was feeling better. I was feeling better the more feminine I became, and the more me. Because if anybody knows me too, they know I'm the total cornball. I'm very intelligent, but I can be quite a flake, and goofy and silly and very sensitive, and all those guys knew that about me, backstage, and there were sides of them that the public will never see that I shared with them, but I guess it was just time for that to happen, and I did it naturally. And then, of course, we know how sometimes something picks up by doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, or by accident. And I think that's when my whole career started to take another change,
right.
Honestly.